Are you ready to push your limits, to shatter expectations and redefine what is possible? Welcome to the Victory Multisport podcast, the show that fuels your passion and ignites your drive. Whether you're a seasoned triathlete, a weekend warrior, or a beginner dreaming of crossing that finish line, we're here to equip you with the knowledge, inspiration, and community that you need to achieve your endurance goals. We'll celebrate individual wins and great accomplishments, no matter the size, speed, or publicity. Get ready to be inspired by stories of incredible athletes, learn from expert coaches, and discover the mindset that transforms ordinary individuals into being uncommon. This isn't just a podcast. It's your training partner, your cheerleader, and your coach to ultimate victory. So lace up, clip in, and dive right in. It's time to unleash your potential. It's time for the Victory Multisport podcast.
Yeah, welcome back to the Victory Multisport podcast. This is Coach Sarge, and I'm with Coach Scott. How you doing?
Hey there, doing all right.
Awesome, glad to have you back, Coach. I know you had you got work-life balance things going on. It's been keeping you from our normal monthly podcast, but thanks for coming on these two episodes. Appreciate you.
Absolutely.
And Coach Kenny.
What up?
Hey, man. You're the life of the party, bro.
I'm trying to be, man. I got my Christmas shoes on.
Yeah.
Got my marathon build happening right now.
Absolutely.
It's all good.
So, yeah, if you listen to our last episode, it was a pre-Thanksgiving episode. We're now in the pre-holiday, pre-Christmas episode here. But back with Caroline Beard. Sorry about that. Caroline, how you doing?
Good. Happy to be here once again for another episode.
Yeah, well, we had way more to talk about, and you are definitely one of our most talkative guests that we've ever had on the podcast.
I don't feel like we have to pull words out of her.
I don't know if I should be insulted or honored by that.
Good. Well, we mentioned it in our pre-meeting that we weren't going to have a problem having to ask a lot of questions. But, you know, we've had other guests on there like, how was that race? Good. Right? Long. Right? How
did you train for the English Channel? A lot of swimming.
Yeah, a lot. But
more.
But it's all good, right? We appreciate it. It's great information. And we've even learned things from you from the last episode that we didn't even know as your, closest coaches, I guess, right now in your life, right? So thanks for sharing that. I think it's going to help a lot of people. And for those of you that are wondering what that is, you got to go back and listen to the other episode and pick it up. But it's a good message, and we're so proud of you for the challenges that you've overcome in your life, in your short life, because you're very young still compared to all of us. But we wanted to unpack in this episode with you your two major triathlon races that you had in 2025, having qualified in Lake Placid for the Ironman 140.6 World Championships in Kona, Hawaii, and I'm not sure where you qualified exactly.
70.3 Florida was
Haines City in late 2024 for the Ironman 70.3 World Championships 2025 that were in Marbella, Spain, just this past month in November. So, we brought you all the way through Placid, and now you've got this time, the rest of July, August, September to think about, okay, what the hell's going to happen to me when I get out there in the lava fields of Kona? But what was going through your mind now that you had made it? Because we talked in the last episode about you. It was like a daily question. Think I can make it, think I can make it, think I can make it. And you did. So.
Yeah, it was a huge goal of mine, a huge dream. And I didn't know if I was going to get it in my first Ironman. So getting to qualify in my first Ironman was super special. It was just so surreal to get to go to Kona. It's such an iconic race. And I was just so excited to get out there and compete. And I think, in Lake Placid, that was all about figuring out the Ironman. It was my first race. Coach Scott and I talked about, we're just figuring things out today. We're figuring out how to race this distance. And so going into Kona, I knew my goal was to obviously enjoy the experience, but also to pace the bike better so I could really tap into my strength of running and have a really solid run. And so that was my goal, was just to pace that race better and, just get one step closer to figuring out the Ironman. And so I was just super excited to get out there and really compete. Because in the run on Lake Placid, I was just surviving at that point. Mm-hmm. But Coach Scott and I talked about the run at Kona. I want to be competing. I want to be hunting down people. Yeah. So that was kind of my goal going into it. And it's funny because the podcast episode I was on last December with Gus and Trevin, the Young Guns podcast, you guys asked us what our goals were. And I was kind of hesitant. I was like, you know what? I want to go to Worlds. I think I want to go to Worlds someday. And I just now a year later, having raced Kona and Marbella, it's just so crazy to look back at the girl a year ago that was I think I want to do this, and getting to accomplish it was so cool.
Well, to digress out of triathlon and into just life, right?
Yeah.
You listen to any business coaches, life coaches, leadership coaches, they're all going to tell you write your goals down. Verbalize the goal, right? Write it, verbalize it, live it, remember it, open that piece of paper up, carry it with you. Like is the beginning of manifestation, right? That's the beginning of manifesting that. Like, your decisions from then are based on, okay, this morning I opened that piece of paper, it said go to Worlds, right? And then today I'm going to probably make decisions that are going to help me get to Worlds, right?
Yeah.
Even if they're micro decisions, what to eat, how much to sleep, what to read, all these different things that add up to that. So just that moment almost forcing you on the podcast to declare your position. And I say that a lot. That's one of my Sarge phrases.
He screams it at me.
Declare your position. Declare your position so we know how to get around you or over you, or you're coming with us, right? Because if you declare your position that you're with us, then you're with us. So keep up, right? So, and it's not about a speed thing. That's just a military term, right? So declare your position helps everybody around you understand it, helps other people support you, helps other people, allow you the grace to make the decisions you need to make, to not go to the party or not do this or not do that, and do what you need to do to obtain your goal. So that's
making those micro decisions every day to reach those goals. That's all. I love the book Atomic Habits, and it's like all in those little habits, those little decisions. That consistency compounds and helps you achieve those goals. And I love what you talked about of declaring those goals, because when you put those goals out there, it's like, okay, now I'm holding myself accountable to be the person I want to be to achieve those goals.
Right.
Yeah. On the heels of that, right after the race, and again, coming back to the maturity theme, in this couples with goals, you have to be willing to ask for and take critical feedback.
Sure.
Right. And use that to your advantage. And it's something that Caroline did. I remember right after Placid, and it was funny going into Placid, I made a comment about, okay, look, when you're on the bike, don't be shocked if your first lap is like 2:45 or if it's like 3:15, right? Like, just whatever it is, you got to pivot, you got to adjust, and then make the race what it is for the rest of the day. And then sure enough, I think he came through in like
2:53. Because when Coach Scott, when he said, don't be shocked if your first lap is, under 3 hours. And if it is, make sure you pace yourself that second lap. Like, don't double down and try to hit another sub 3 lap, because based on where my fitness was at that point. And I said, there's no way I'm going sub 3 for my first lap in Lake Placid. And then I did a 2:53. So sometimes when Coach Scott tells me something and I think there's no way, that experience has made me realize, when Coach Scott tells me something, like, it could happen. Like,
it's going to come true.
But it was really nice though. After Placid, right? Like, she was like, okay, what do you want me to do? Like right after the race, I was like, nothing. I want you to rest. Right? Like, mind and body need a little bit of a break. And then we had a conversation, after the dust settled, and I was like, okay, what would you do different? And then you were great. Like, the willingness to talk, the willingness to communicate, the self-critical thinking. That really paid off. Yeah,
paid off.
That was great. That, and again, as a mature athlete, right, you were able to reflect, and so you had elements of success, elements where there needed to be improvement, and you were able to size up both of those items, right, and then figure out, okay, what would I do different now going into Kona?
Yeah.
And it allowed us to approach it a little bit differently. Yeah,
I love just dissecting the races and figuring out what I can take away from that. What were the successes? What were the failures? How can I learn from that? How can I be better next time? It's so much fun.
CB, you were already thinking that in the car ride home.
Oh, yeah, I definitely was.
And the thing I loved about, getting to know you, and I've often said, I love your faith. I love everything, your demeanor, your cool hand, Luke. You're aggressive with what you're going after, but you also understand, like, hey, if I don't make it, it wasn't meant to be. God didn't have this in. And you came to terms with whatever happens today. Yes, I'll be upset, and I'll be upset for today, but I'm going to be fine moving forward. But I think one of the things, we don't get privy to yours and Coach Scott conversations. We just don't. So when you guys have conversations, that's awesome. But I picked up on something you've said 3 times, maybe you twice and maybe Scott once, is I just told her, enjoy your marathon. I just told her, we're going to see what happens in Placid. And as a good coach, you're deflecting pressure off of her and you're putting it onto you. Like, hey, I don't know what this is going to go, but let's just go out and have fun. You have the horse that if we have a great day, it can happen, but just go out and enjoy yourself. And he's taking pressure off you. And that's the 3rd time you made reference of, yes, this is how we approach this race. And all good things have happened because he's taking some of that pressure off you to say, listen, I know you want this and you want it so bad. Let's just go in and dip our toes in, let's see what happens. And good things are happening for you each time because you guys are collabing and you're like unbreakable right now. It's a bond that you guys have that is so good.
Yeah, it's definitely like, the principle of declining splits, right? Just really get people to like settle in first, and then if you got legs and you're good, go harder as the race progresses. But if you go hard at first and it just collapses, you're smoked.
Yeah, especially in an Ironman. You got to be patient.
Or a marathon, or anything of any significant distance. But if you get into it, you have a plan, you work the plan, you decline your splits, then you can go like hell at the end.
Yeah,
for sure.
We had it with Bull real quick, and then you go with Chris. It was Panama City, and Chris had just passed away. But Chris was, if I don't get 14 hours, I'm pissed. Okay, so what if it takes you 2 hours and 20 minutes? Now you're going to rush through the rest, and that's where we just said, listen, create goal A, create goal B, create goal C. Take pressure off of that, because you're putting too much on yourself to have a dynamic swim.
Yeah.
But
there were two concepts that through Caroline's training, I definitely wanted to have it settle in with her, and I don't even know if you realize this. I'm sure you do as we're sitting here talking. But one was the ability to absorb what's going on around you, right? And a lot of that stems from like the grayness in my beard, right? Like I've got decades of success and decades of failure, and I know nothing's guaranteed, right? And you're in this moment where you qualified for the 70.3 championships, and now you just qualified for the 140.6 championships. That is rare air. So take a look around, right? Really enjoy it. Like I had no doubt that you would do great, right? But I did want you to just appreciate it, because again, like that's a special moment in your life. You'll look back and you'll be like, man, that was amazing.
I'm already looking back and realizing that. Yeah.
And then
things have changed, right? It's harder to get in. It's going to be different. You're going to grad school. Like life's going to get in the way.
2028 is going to be special, though.
Yeah. 2029, 2030. No, but so there's to your point, 100%. Nothing's guaranteed. You're in the moment. You're in rare air. Experience it all.
Yeah, and I think that's been a huge lesson I've learned in my development as an athlete, because between cross country and track and now Ironmans, like I've been doing endurance sports since I was 15, 16 years old. And in high school, I would put so much pressure on myself to hit a certain arbitrary time and hit these certain splits. And I was so focused on that I would get so nervous before races. If I didn't hit my goal, I'd be so mad. And something I've learned throughout the years, and I've really changed with my race strategy, is like, hey, set these goals, but also, as Coach Scott always says, like look up, enjoy the process along the way, and realize that like you're so much more than a number on a clock. Like this is a journey. You get to, have your family and your friends alongside you. Like my favorite people in my life get to be a part of this journey with me. And that's so special. And what a gift it is to be healthy enough to do Ironmans and have the resources to do Ironmans. And like when you focus on all of that gratitude, all those other things, it's like those goals. I feel like, at least for me as an athlete, I actually perform better when I'm focused on gratitude and focused on, okay, like I have these goals, but I'm holding them loosely. Like if I don't achieve them, it's not the end of the world. I can still focus on all of the good that came out of that race. And I remember like the night before, like Placid, I was talking to Coach Kenny and I said, you know what? I don't need to make it to Kona. Like I want to, I really want to, but I don't need to. If I don't make Kona, I'm still like, I still did this Ironman. Like life is still going to go on. I'm still so blessed and so grateful to be here. And I think that mindset of like, it takes the pressure off of yourself. So you're able to race relaxed. You're able to race with that freedom of knowing like, this doesn't define who I am. It's an amazing part of my life. It's an amazing gift. But it doesn't define who I am. It doesn't define my worth, my identity as an athlete. And so that freedom, like racing with that freedom, I think that's what kept me calm and like placid, knowing like, hey, I thought I was going to be racing for the win. I wanted to win that age group, and I'm sitting in 7th right now on the run. And instead of, I think if I would have been so focused on, I have to get to Kona, I would have started spiraling. I would have, gotten in my head. I would have been like, I'm not having this day. Like, this isn't my day. I'm, this is a terrible race. I'm doing so bad. I'm not going to get my goal. Like I would have just had that negative loop running in my head. But because I had that freedom of knowing like I have these goals, but I'm also just so grateful to be here and enjoy the experience, I was able to stay calm. I was able to stay focused. And then when the time came in mile 25, I was able to go. I was able to believe in myself. And so I think, racing with that freedom and that peace of knowing like I have these goals, but it's not the end all be all. That's actually like what's going to help you achieve your goals. Like we think like being so focused and so locked in is what's going to get you to your goals, but oftentimes it's enjoying the journey along the way and being relaxed. That's what helps you get to your goals.
It's interesting. A microcosm of that. And hearing that, it's funny because it reminds me of this moment. I don't know if you'll remember, but we were in the parking lot before a Saturday morning ride.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there on my bike, and Caroline has her bike, and she's tinkering with this and tinkering with that and tinkering with this and tinkering with that. And finally I looked over and I was like, what are you doing? And she was like, oh, I'm just trying to get everything right. And I was like, relax. Perfection is the enemy of completion.
I do remember that. I remember that moment.
Just going to ride.
That's right.
Yes.
And you jumped on, and it was a fantastic ride.
Yeah.
But you could see it, like you just relaxed. And it was amazing.
I vividly remember that day. I was so exhausted. I had just come off night shift. Yep. I was like, I don't want to be here. I just want to sleep. I got this like 80-mile ride, and I'm stressed. And I think there was one moment too where Coach Scott and Trevin got a little ahead of me, and I was kind of getting in my head. I was like, man, if I can't keep up with them, how am I going to get to Kona? And I'm just like, it was just one of those like days where you're just not having a good day. And I vividly remember Coach Scott being like, hey, just ride. Like I have that quote written in I have a notes app on my phone that I have some of my favorite quotes, and that one's in there. Perfection is the enemy of completion. And that just like, I just felt a breath of fresh air. I was just like, it's fine. I'm out with my friends going for a bike ride. Like we're just having a good time.
So you mentioned the negative self-talk or even negative, just negative discussion in your head. Right. So, I mean, one of the things is, the negative discussion is always the easiest self-fulfilling prophecy out there, right? So it always comes true.
Yeah.
I can't, I won't, I don't, like this sucks, I hate it, this is terrible. Guaranteed at the end of that day, it's always terrible. It's always sucky. It's always going to be bad. Mm-hmm. The positive ones, the challenge with those, and that's why human nature is that they get into these bad, self-talk conversations they don't always come true. I want to go to Kona. I didn't get to go to Kona.
Yeah.
The ability to understand that it just wasn't the right timing, or it wasn't the right space, or it wasn't the right, something else was there that you didn't foresee or wasn't in the total plan. That's the hard part, because you still have to be positive.
Yeah.
And to have the gratitude and the being grateful for the moment, the people, the place, the opportunity, that helps you keep in that positive mindset. But that is harder. But if you do it enough, they'll always come true now too, because you always can be grateful. Even if you didn't make Kona, you can be grateful you were at Lake Placid, one of the most iconic Ironman 140.6 courses in the world.
Yeah.
And you did well.
Yeah, and that relentless positivity. Like, obviously, I still have my off days, going back to that story about that ride Coach Scott and I were talking about, I still have my off days, but like that positivity, like it just makes your life so much better when you can be grateful for everything. Even when life doesn't go perfectly, you can find that silver lining. Like it's so much better than being negative. Like being negative,
people want to be around you too.
Yeah, and it lifts up the other people around you. And something else too is like when maybe you don't have your day, you get to focus on other people's successes too and be happy for them. And like, I didn't have the run I wanted in Lake Placid, but like I celebrated the heck out of Candace, who literally PR'd in her marathon in an Ironman. And Lake Placid's a hilly run course too. And so that was so fun for me, is like I didn't have the run I wanted, and this was like the day of the race, like when I didn't know I'd made it to Kona. I was like, I didn't have the run I wanted, I might not make it to Kona because of it, but I'm going to celebrate the heck out of my friends and my teammates, and like just staying positive in life, just it goes a long way.
She's on an absolute heater. Candace is, like, everything she's doing now is bam bam. Like, I love it. I'm so proud of her. But one of the things,
Candace.
shout out. But one of the things I think I knew going into Placid, when we got there, it was a Thursday. It was Thursday. We were going to the Rock to swim. And I hear her go, oh my God, I just got a call from Pitt.
Yeah, we got to add that too. I got into grad school 3 days before Lake Placid. So that was the craziest week of my life.
And she's screaming. I'm up on the hill talking to Hog and talking to a couple other athletes. Coach Kenny, I feel like it's her mom screaming, like that voice. I need your phone. And I'm like, what? She's like, I need your phone. So I give her my phone, and she gets accepted into grad school.
Yeah.
And so the point being of me telling that story is I'm such a believer of good things happen to great people. Mm-hmm. And again, she takes care of everybody else, because then you fast forward to Sunday when she has just ripped her wetsuit. She's walking around outside of bike transition. Dill had forgot nutrition, just in the mix up of everything leaving the house, forgot it. And I'm like hustling to run to go get it, to try to get it in on his bike, which we did get it there. And she comes out of nowhere, and she sees me stressed, and she goes, and she's about to race 140 miles with Kona on her mind. And she looks at me with those motherly eyes and says, Coach Kenny, what do you need? What do you need of me? What is going on? Mm-hmm. And I said, an athlete forgot their stuff. She's like, how can I help? I'm like, you go focus on your race. I got it. But just the maturity of somebody who's she again isn't worried about her day. She's worried about make sure he's good. make sure
Saw
this is
somebody in
happening.
need. She wrote it on your face. You could tell.
Yeah.
And she's willing to help.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Thank you guys.
Yeah. So again, it's that lead up of what was happening there, the theme of her faith and glorifying, deflecting the glory. Things are happening to her, and it's not a surprise.
That's right.
And she's working her tail off. It's not like this is just, oh, you care about something. Here's Kona. Like, she has to put the same work everybody else is, but she's doing it different.
That's right.
She's doing it a different way, and she's doing it her way. And her way is fine.
Amazing.
Everybody has their own path that they're doing, but she's creating it the Caroline way, where, come on with me, because you had 3 people with you that were with you in Kona, and they all chased it down, and it was so beautiful to watch them all get the race together.
Oh, it was great.
Do that.
It was so special getting to race with Candace and Grace. And, I saw them on the bike and the run, and we're like, yelling at each other, like, let's go. And like, it was just so fun to like, I love seeing teammates out on the course, and then you get to encourage each other, and it's like a huge boost. I saw Dylan on the run in Lake Placid. He passed me at probably like mile 5 or something, and I was really hurting, and he gave me a fist bump, and like, it just, those little moments just really help pick you up during the race. But and I know you were talking about, you said good things happen to great people, and sometimes good things don't happen to great people. Like, I had a lot of challenges. I think a lot of people see the Kona and the success, and oh, you made it to Kona on your first Ironman, and there's been a lot of things in my life that didn't go as planned. But I think when you just keep staying positive, you keep working hard in life, and you just don't quit, good things are going to happen. Good things won't always happen, but they are going to happen when you just don't give up and you just keep going in life.
Can't stop a person that won't quit, right?
Yeah.
They're going to keep going. And so, I 100% agree with all of that, and it's amazing. Getting back to Kona, it's not the same race. It's not
very
Lake
different
Placid.
from Lake Placid.
It's not a 2-looper. It's a 1-looper, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
It's a 2.4 mile continuous ocean swim. It's not in Mirror Lake. It's a little bit
no
different
cable,
kind of
sadly,
water.
for spotting.
No cable to swim on.
Yeah.
I heard it got a little rough out there at places. Some pushing, like the water was moving, right?
The people were pushing
and the
too.
people were pushing, right? And then you've got the out and back, essentially an out and back bike ride all the way out to Javi and back in on the island, on the Big Island. And then the run, which took out a couple pros, right?
Yeah,
they didn't even make it, right? They had burnt all their matches early, right? Racing each other on the bike, we think, right? You could speculate that might be it. So not easy. 80 some degrees, some humidity.
Yeah.
The sun was out. Like, it was some tough conditions, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure that lava field bike was a warm one, right?
Yes.
Even the wind on you was warm.
Yeah.
Crosswinds trying to knock you into the ditch, right? And some other things. So walk us through like some of those major points inside that swim, bike, and run that you felt that were either different or unique, or you got like, whoa, this is the real deal.
Yeah. So going into the race, as I said before, goals were pace it better, really have a strong run, enjoy the journey, and also just not overheat. Like, I typically don't race super well in the heat. I get overheated very easily. So I told myself, like, I don't care how much time I lose at the aid stations, like, I need to stay cool, because I don't want to skip some aid stations and say, oh, I'm not going to get ice, I'm not going to get water, I don't want to lose time.
You don't want to be a casualty then, right?
And then, overheat at mile 24 and can't finish the race. So those were kind of the goals going in. It was just so surreal, honestly, just the lead up to the race, getting to go to the village and seeing all the amazing athletes from around the world, and getting to bike out on the course and test out, swim out on the course before race day. Like, it was just so much fun. The whole experience of going to Kona was, it totally lived up to the hype. Like, it was better than anything I could have dreamed of. And I'm so grateful for it. And, race day, I was just super excited. Going into the swim, the water was pretty choppy, but honestly, it was kind of nice to not be in a wetsuit, because you weren't like getting hot by the end of the swim. And I actually had 2 dolphins swim under me during the swim, which was like the coolest thing ever. Seeing that, I was like, I'm swimming.
Not for Coach Kenny.
No, I would have been punching people.
I was like, I can't stop. I almost wanted to stop in the middle of the water and just be like, oh my gosh, that was so cool. But I didn't, obviously, because I'm in a race. So I keep swimming. But in my head, I'm like, this is the best day ever already. So I had so much fun during the swim. Definitely a lot of pushing around, a lot of physicality, because it's the mass start for your age group. So everyone in your age group starts at the same time. But coming from a soccer background, I kind of enjoyed it. I was like, this is kind of fun. You got to push around and get in position. And swim was like a couple minutes slower than I thought I would be. But, it was super choppy, had some current, it's open water, no wetsuit, and just felt like I kept a really strong pace the whole time. Like, I finished feeling really strong. Like, I was able to speed up in the last part of the swim, and just, I was happy with how I paced it. Came out of the water, got on the bike. It was hot. The sun was behind the clouds during the swim, which was great because it was great visibility. But then on the bike, sun came out, was very hot. So every aid station, I was just, squirting a water bottle all over myself to stay cool. Just really wasn't able to. Normally I eat some bars on the bike, but just couldn't really stomach any solid food because it was just so hot. So I'm just drinking Coke from all the aid stations. So I was able to kind of pivot, tweak my nutrition a little bit, worked out really well. Drank a bunch of bottles of Coke to get my carbs in. Probably took in about double the amount of fluid I took in Lake Placid because Kona's, 85 and sunny. Lake Placid was like 65 and cloudy. So I took in about double the amount of fluid. Just started out the bike, dropped my chain in mile 5. That was fun. That first hill going up Palani, dropped my chain, quick, put it back on, maybe lost a couple minutes because I'm at the bottom of a hill. I'm having to start up a hill now with no momentum.
Yeah.
So maybe lost a couple minutes there in the first 5 miles, but just kind of put it behind me. I was like, it's a long day. Anything can happen. The race always pushes back. So I'm going to push harder. So I tried to pace the first half of the bike and intentionally held myself back. If I saw a girl that passed me in my age group, I just, forgot about it. I was like, whatever, I'm not going to cover that move right now. I just need to stay consistent. So stayed steady, stayed consistent. Probably about mile 40, I started picking it up a little bit. I was feeling good. Coming out to the turnaround at mile 60, was still feeling really good. And then after the turnaround, just really tried to hammer because had some downhills. So I just really tried to pick it up. Was getting very hot for sure. Was just really feeling that sun. Thankfully, there was a good amount of wind, so that cooled me off a little bit. But just, I would say about mile 90, just started feeling really dizzy, really sleepy. And I knew I had taken in a lot of carbs, a lot of fluid. So I was like, I don't think it's a nutritional issue. I think honestly, it was probably just the heat. I was just putting out a big effort and it was really hot out. But I was just feeling really, that was the lowest point of my race actually was mile 90 on the bike. I'm feeling dizzy. I'm feeling sleepy. I'm having trouble focusing. And I'm thinking am I even going to be able to run right now? What's my body going to feel like when I get off this bike and start running? Cause I just felt not good. But I told myself we're going to keep pushing. Everyone has that low point in the Ironman and it's a long day. So usually if you keep pushing, you eventually start feeling better. So that's what I told myself. And, probably, I think it was about mile 100 on the bike is pretty much the last 10, 12 miles are mostly downhill and pretty just, good straight stretches of road where you can just kind of get narrow and
come
lock
back in on the Queen K, right?
Yeah. So those last 10, 12 miles started to feel a little bit better on the bike, started, just feeling like myself again. And once I got into T2, it was like a switch was flipped. I felt great. I don't know what happened. I think just getting off that bike.
Get me off this bike.
Yeah. I don't know. And T2 also, they had some really sweet volunteers that were just putting these ice cold wet washcloths around everyone's neck.
Could have been
so got that washcloth.
Body temp down.
Kind of revived me. And just I love the run. The run excites me. So anytime I get off the bike and I'm in T2, I'm like, all right, it's time to run. As Coach Scott always says, claws and fangs out.
There we go.
We get the claws and fangs out on the run and we start hammering. So I came off the bike. I knew I had paced it pretty well. And so I got out on the run and I see Coach Sarge and I say, I got legs. I got running legs.
Yeah.
So that was kind of exciting.
All you get there is, here it comes.
Feeling like I could actually run because Lake Placid from the start, I just felt pretty depleted.
I'll just interject here if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I was in a little bit of a worry because I'm like, oh, she was talking. She wanted to be top 5 and she's not really top 5. And I'm like, what do I say? How do I, because you have half a second to say what you're going to say to her as she's running past. So I just, I kind of just acknowledged that she had great legs and said, keep going. Right?
Yeah.
And didn't say 27th or 30th place.
Well, it's interesting
whatever,
though, because going into Kona, that's another thing is I thought maybe I could get top 5 because 2 years ago, the last time the women were in Kona, 5th place was a 10:49. And I thought, okay, if I have a good day, I think I can go under
there was
11.
Definitely a possibility, but.
And then this year, 5th place was 10:20. So it was 30 minutes faster to get on the podium just 2 years later. So it's amazing how fast the sport is getting. And there were just some incredible athletes out there on the course.
I just didn't want to throw you off, but I didn't want to ignore you either. I had to do something. So
it was crazy. I'm just thinking back, wow, I thought I could get top 5 and little did I know it was going to take 30 minutes faster to get that this time around, which was cool to see all the great athletes. It was amazing to be sharing the course with these awesome athletes. And I think it makes me fired up to get better. But yeah, going back to the run, I saw my dad on the bike coming back into town. He told me I was, I think, in 22nd or something. And so there's a video of him telling me that, and my face, I kind of make this kind of facial expression.
Grimace,
I'm like, ooh, that's not where I thought I'd be. But I was like, you know what? It's a competitive year. I I'm just gonna see how many people I can pick off on the run. I actually have legs now. Like, let's see what we can do.
And at that moment, you don't know that some of the pros are dropping.
Yeah.
You don't know that it is that hot. I mean, you know it's hot, but you don't know how hot it is. You don't know who's out there. So I think it goes back to your other statement, right? Just keep going.
Just
right?
keep going.
It could matter, right?
Yeah. So the run was awesome. Like, I just had so much fun and I felt like I was really in the race. Like, I knew, okay, I'm probably not going to get top 5, but like, I just felt like I was like on the hunt. Like, okay, who can I pick off next? And so that was fun. Like, feeling like I wasn't just surviving, but I was actually racing. The sun kind of started to go behind the clouds probably around like mile 6 on the run. And then at that point it was like 4 p.m. So the sun's getting a little bit lower in the sky. So the heat was much more manageable on the run. And the volunteers, they had these huge buckets of ice with these massive scoopers. So every aid station I'd run by and I'd say ice. And the volunteers, they come, they have this giant scooper and they just shove it down your tri kit. So I'm literally running with just like this massive like pocket of ice just like sitting right around my core.
It feels so good in your leg area.
And that, I mean, that was honestly like made the biggest difference on the run was staying cool, because I was running with all this ice, so it's cooling me off. And every once in a while I'd like grab a cube of ice and I'd pop it in my mouth. So I'm like crunching on ice as I'm running. But I mean, hey, it helped me stay cool.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah. So that's my secret sauce if you want to race Kona, is get the ice every aid station and chew on it as you run. But
let it melt and chew some.
Yeah, but it was super fun. I mean, just again, I think probably around once I was out in the energy lab, I really started to get emotional just thinking of like, wow, I'm here and like I'm going to finish Kona. Like, I'm like 10 miles from the finish line right now. Like, this is so cool. Was just having a lot of fun. Definitely starting to hurt the second half of the marathon, as everyone does, but was just having so much fun. And part of my shoe started to come off at mile 17. I think the pavement was so hot, the rubber on the sole of my Alpha Flies. Thankfully, it was just like a little piece. It wasn't the whole sole itself, because I did see someone who the entire sole of their shoe had come off and they were like kind of hobbling through the run. But thankfully, it was just a small piece. And again, told myself, well, the race always pushes back. Like, we're just going to keep running until my shoe falls apart, and then we're still going to keep running. So yeah, I just kind of, grinded through those last few miles of the run. Legs were screaming, feeling tired, but crossed that finish line and ended up seeing my family and found out I got 19th, and I had passed a girl in the finish line chute to get top 20. And that was really just such a cool moment to get top 20 in my age group. And I was just proud of myself
American
again.
Wasn't it?
Fourth American on the day, which was also super special. And I was just proud of myself again for passing that girl in the finish line chute, because I saw her and I thought, that girl looks like she's young, I'm going to try and pass her. And just never giving up, fighting for every spot. And was just really proud of myself when I finished, because I felt like I'd paced it better. I had really achieved those process goals that I'd set out. Like, I'm going to pace this better. I'm going to set myself up better for the run. And that's what I did. And so I think that was super gratifying too, to see the improvement from my first Ironman to now my second. The two girls that had also gotten Kona spots from Lake Placid, they had finished ahead of me at Lake Placid. I ended up finishing ahead of them at Kona, which was cool because they're phenomenal athletes. And I was excited to see, like, okay, I'm seeing this improvement, that these girls that had beaten me before, I'm now getting to compete with them and beat them on that
right?
day.
You guys, if you continue to race with them, that's one of those wolf packs of people, right? Even though they're somewhat unknown to us, we know their names and we know of them. We've never really met them, but it's always going to be that, right? You got these, healthy, competitive nature between
and
a
it's
group
been
of people,
cool,
and sometimes they don't even know each other, but you're still racing them, right?
And I've gotten to meet actually some of these girls that I've raced against at races, and was chatting with some girls before the swim in Kona and before the swim in Marbella, because you're sitting in that queue for so long waiting to enter the water, and just have met so many wonderful athletes, so many like amazing women that I get to race alongside. And it's so fun to have these people where it's like on the course you're competing against them, but then at the finish line and at the start line you're just talking about your lives and supporting each other and encouraging each other. And I think that's so special about the sport is you are trying to beat these people, but at the end of the day, we're all just like here to encourage each other to cross that finish line and get the most out of ourselves.
And in these two races, I know that Kona, I think they said there were 78 countries represented. I think.
Yeah, I don't remember
it's just a lot of countries,
number,
right?
But a lot.
You're on the world stage. You're competing with people from all over the world that have similar goals, similar attitudes.
It's just
have
so
definitely
special.
done similar work and have to put the work in to get there and to maintain that, and to just be mixed in that, right? And if you run the numbers, it's decimal percent of people that are ever in that. In that chute, talking it up.
Interesting, the difference between Placid and Kona, though, right? Like, as you describe each race, with Placid, you acknowledge, I maybe misstepped here or there, and I had to hang on at certain points.
Yeah.
Kona was like, man, I got to the run, and I was taking it to the field, right? Like, it's just, you know, you were able to take lessons learned and you actually quote unquote raced Kona.
Yeah.
right?
And I ran, I think 16 minutes faster my marathon in Kona from Lake Placid, and the elevation profile of both courses is very similar. I think one's maybe 1,100 feet, one's maybe 1,200. So they're very close. But then Kona obviously was much hotter, and so I was proud of myself for getting that run. You know, having that run split be much faster than Lake Placid, you know, in tougher conditions. So it makes me excited to see, like, okay, what can I do next? You know, I'm so grateful for this experience in Kona, but I'm also looking forward to, all right, what can I do next, and how can I attack my next race?
That mental aspect was the other thing the other concept that I wanted to work on with Caroline during training. And so she did mention claws and fangs. Yeah. And I remember that moment too. We were up on the ridge riding, and obviously it's coming through on the podcast how nice Caroline is. And that is true to her character, one of the nicest people in the world. Aww. And we were up on the ridge riding, and I remember thinking, Caroline is so nice. Like we were just kind of cruising along, and I looked at her and I said, you know, there's going to be a moment in the race where it's going to be pushing back. It's going to be very difficult. It's going to be very hard, and you're going to have to compete. I said, just want you to know it's okay. Get the claws out. Get the fangs out and go for the kill. Yeah. I'm like, and she looked at me, she's like, all right.
She looked like George Costanza running out of a fire in an apartment at the finish line shoot, pushing people out of the way.
Yeah. You know, but I wanted her to know, right? Like it's, you know, there's going to be that moment where you got to like grit your teeth, clench your fist, and you're going to fight, and you're going to do great. And she was great.
Well, right. I said, it's funny for me. I'm sitting here listening to all of this, and I just keep thinking, God, she's got to have raced 20 Ironmen. You know, the experience. And now you look at it, this pretty much all happened since December of 2024.
It's crazy. Like when I finished Kona, it had been like 10 months
not
since
even
I
a year yet.
Started racing. Yeah.
11 months.
Like, and that's the thing I think in the podcast that I hope people understand is this is not even one full year, and she has hit every metric that she's wanted and worked hard to go get and put the fangs out and claws and chased it down. And I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, wow, okay, so I learned this from this race to this race. I was able to do this. And then I'm thinking, you only had 2 runs to learn this. What if she had 20 races? Yeah. Like when you hit 30 to 34 or 35 to 39, like look out because of like, you're going to keep stacking. Like I think we almost have to put a restrictor plate on her a little bit. Like, hey, hold up. No, not that race. That one. Yeah, that one. Because she wants to go every weekend. But I think it's so cool watching somebody so focused in life, you know, winning in her professional career, winning off season in life with church and what she's doing, bringing people to the Lord, watching her race on race day and what she's doing there. It's no shock to me that any of it is lining up.
Yeah, on the restrictor plate comment, we're on the phone after Spain. Like, I didn't even know, like, where she was and kind of where the moment was. And she was like, hey, you think I could sign up for Florida? And as she's asking me this, I hear somebody speaking in Spanish. And I was like, where are you? And she was like, oh, I have to go get my bike. Like, she was still
in transition.
Like literally had just finished, right? And
I have to go get your bike, Coach Scott, because you loaned me the bike, right?
Yes.
Let's get your bike. Let's go rest for a little bit. And then we'll talk about Florida. Like,
now, to tell a story on Coach Scott, I think his next text was, I think I have to buy a new bike.
Yeah.
Because I think my other bike's gone.
No.
I don't even know where my bike is. I think Federshack has it somewhere.
Hey, whatever it takes
I just
for
love
the
learning,
athletes,
honestly, from race to race. And I'm excited to see what I can continue learning. I think that's what's so fun for me is it's been a new sport for me to learn. I just love being a student of the sport. And, you know, it's why I'm going to grad school. You know, I love learning more about medicine, and I love learning more about triathlon, and just continuing to learn throughout my life. And it's been so fun, and learning how to do the sport and how to fuel for it. And I think it's so cool. I'm like, man, when I'm on the bike, I'm taking in, like, we're talking in the thousands of calories of pure sugar on that bike to keep me fueled through 6 hours. And I'm like, I would have never done that 5 years ago. I would have been terrified to eat that much sugar. But now it's like, I'm just hammering my Tailwind and my, you know, Honey Stinger gels. And it's like, it's just so cool to see the growth, you know, to just continue learning and growing. And I think that's what I love about this sport.
In the sport, we talk about professionals a lot, right? Because there's a lot of pro talk about the pro cards and the pros race and the pros this. But, you know, in the true definition of a professional, that's someone that takes the time to evaluate their performance and to do that after action and to improve that performance based off that experience, right? So you don't make the same mistakes twice.
Yeah.
You maybe make new mistakes, but then keep growing from that, right? And keep growing and learning and expanding your knowledge of the process, of the feelings, of the perceived effort, of the metrics that can drive the performance down the road. We all do it in our professional lives. You do it in your professional life, I'm sure. After procedures, they always have a debrief on how the procedure went, so that process gets improved with the team that's working in the ICU or the ER or whatever. So when I call you a professional, because the professional is the person that's trying to improve like that. So I think that's a message for all the listeners. It's not about the pro card. That's the sizzle part. That's the fancy part for Ironman and others that sell that to, the media and want to watch it on TV and promote it. But a professional in the sport is someone that's trying to learn more about it.
Yeah. And I think honestly, obviously the pros are super impressive, but what's honestly even more impressive to me are these age groupers that have families, that have careers and other jobs, that they don't just get to train all day and yet they still make it happen, and they're crossing that same finish line. And it's so inspiring to see those stories too.
You were going to say something, Coach?
No, I was to build on your comment. It really does come back to attitude. That is the one thing I think that made the difference, just from even race to race. And I notice it in other spots too. That they, instead of dwelling on, missteps in Placid, you were able to take that feedback and lever it into a success in Kona. Having the right attitude, right, to be able to do that, that's going to give anyone success in any space. Most people can't do that, right? They get hung up on a shortcoming, and they don't realize that if you have the correct attitude, you can actually take that experience and use it to your advantage in the next event.
Yeah, you fail forward, right? You use those failures to learn.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's great.
Caroline, if I have one last question I want to ask is, current Caroline, what would you write past Caroline? What you're going through today, if you could send a letter back to her when she got hurt and was just struggling there, what would you say?
Yeah. So I know I touched, I think, a little bit on this in the past episode, but really what I would say is, man, you have don't underestimate what you can do if you just don't quit. If you just don't give up, doesn't matter where you are right now, your life. I think about everything I've done in the past year of getting to qualify for Boston, qualify and then race in Kona, qualify and then race in Marbella. All of that happened within the span of 8 months. And you truly never know what's possible. And so just don't quit. Just don't give up, And I think back to 5 years ago when my hip was broken, I'm sitting on the couch and I'm, in so much pain, can't run, can't race for the foreseeable future. And it's man, I just didn't quit. And I'm thankful I didn't quit, because now there's been so many amazing moments in life since then. And so I think that would be the biggest thing, is just don't give up. Life is not going to be perfect. There's going to be setbacks. There's going to be injuries, whether literally or figuratively. But just don't give up, and just enjoy the journey, enjoy the process along the way. And, there's always going to be something beautiful on the horizon if you just don't quit.
Amazing.
Come on.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Caroline, thanks for sharing your story about your worlds. I know we didn't get too much into Marbella, but, suffice it to say, you earned the right to race both those races. You put the time in to perform well in both of them and all of your qualifiers. You're an amazing person.
Thank you so much.
You're encouraging to others. You're a role model to follow from an attitude perspective and a work ethic perspective. So we just wanted to celebrate you on these couple of episodes of our podcast and to give you a chance and give you your voice out there. It's been a year since we had you on there.
I know.
Right?
Crazy.
When you were with the Young Guns last year. But, you've come a long way in that year, and you've lived up to that verbalization of the goal that you had, a year ago on the podcast. So we're so proud of you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I'm so thankful for you three also, and just the Victory family. It's been such a blessing. That girl that knew nothing about triathlon, that just found herself in Coach Sarge's bike shop getting a bike fit. I just think back to, she had no idea what was coming. Coach Sarge just, giving me the pitch of Victory, and I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe. And there were a couple other athletes there at the shop that day, and they were like, oh, it's not a team, it's a family. And I remember thinking, oh, that's what everyone says. They're just trying to get me to join this team. But no, they were so right. That was such one of the best decisions I made, was to join Victory and be a part of this team. And I'm just excited to see, what I can do next in the sport. And I'm caught the bug. Gonna keep doing these as long as my body will let me. And I'm just, excited to see what more I can do.
It's awesome.
It's awesome. Well, thank you all for listening and going along with Caroline's story. Caroline, thank you for sharing. Please like and share our podcast on Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Apple, wherever you get your podcast. And you've been listening to the Victory Multisport podcast. We'll talk to everybody very soon.